Hey YouTube land, welcome back to more action figure reviews. Today we're having a look at the Colonel Miles Quaritch of the Avatar movie. Now, this is the Mcfarlane one that they put out. There was a previous iteration of him who I will bring in as a comparison time to this figure, but we'll have a quick look at the box first. So the box does have an inner tray. I have the inner tray taken out, but it holds the figure. I think the box is ridiculously oversized for what it is. You can see the size of the figure next to the box. He sits squarely in the center, and then you have his accessories, which aren't that big, that take up a small bit of room in the box, and then you have an action figure stand. But flipping around the back of the box, you just say AMP suit sold separately. It has, I know you can't see it, but at the top it says 22 moving parts. There's Colonel Miles Quaritch on the side, and it just says images of Pandora in the background. Now this is based on his appearance in the first movie. This is from the original Avatar. If you have seen Way of the Water, you know the difference between the two. And this is also on the box. It does say for 12 plus. So this is considered more of a adult collector item more than a young kid's toy. So there is that. And then just on the bottom of the box is all the legalese stuff, 20th Century Fox, etc, etc. So moving on to the figure, we will bring in his accessories first before I do the figure itself. So you get this base, which is pretty much identical to any of the other Mcfarlane bases. I bring in the Witcher Wild Hunt 1, the Witcher 3. It is the exact same base, same size peg. They didn't do any difference, only difference being the logo that is painted or printed on these. I'm not sure they do that. I think they're etch printed. I don't think they're just painted on. They have, like, you know, some sort of thing where it's mass produced and printed on, but it is the exact same base as you get with the DC multiverse. Pretty much 99.9% of any of the Mcfarlane figure stuff, excuse me, you get one of these bases. He has an alternate head, which is kind of cool. It has the oxygen tank for when they are outside the human habitats and stuff like that, and the vehicles. So when they're driving vehicles, there's they have an environment, Earth-based environment, but outside of that, because of Pandora itself, the atmosphere on the planet is not suitable for, is inhospitable for humans, so they have to wear oxygen masks when they're outside. He comes with 3 sets of extra hands, not including the ones that he has on him. So you get a pointing fist left hand, you get a punching fist right hand, and you have a grasping hand, which is designed for one of his other accessories, which is kind of an interesting accessory. He comes with his tiny mug that you see him drinking out of in the movie, which is interesting because Mcfarlane seems to have a thing with characters and their cups, because he's not the only character that came with a mug accessory. One of the other ones that came with a mug accessory is the first version of Hopper, Chief Hopper. He came with his mug that he had as well. And then you get 2 blast effects, one for his larger gun and one for the smaller pistol that he comes with. And speaking of pistol and gun, he comes with this gun that almost looks like a P90. Has a very similar design to it, but it is also kind of futuristic as well at the same time. And the same thing with his kind of space revolver that he comes with. So if I take that out, you see it looks like a kind of almost like a standard revolver. So you just get the light a little bit better on that. It's very dull and very hard to see, but it's almost like a, from here almost back, it looks like a standard revolver, and it has all this extra gubbins on it to make it look more futuristic. You have like this big kind of barrel piece. You have this, what I think is supposed to be like a laser sight, and you have another laser sight, and it's just Fits nicely into his holster. You just have to kind of squeeze it, make sure it's in the right way. It does kind of fit in. He doesn't have a holster for the other rifle or the other gun that he has, but he does hold it quite nicely in his trigger finger hand. So for his default hands, which I haven't actually swapped out, these are the ones that he comes with. He has a trigger finger for the right hand and a grasp for the left. So you have a grasping for both hands. He can't dual wield, unfortunately, because he only has the trigger finger for one hand, but it is what it is. So I'm going to pop his... The hands are quite easy to swap out as well. They're just on a peg system. So I'm going to take his pistol out. In fact, I'll just show you how easy it is to pop in the other hand. Just give him his coffee mug, and you can have him holding his coffee. If I just move these, get the peg in a little bit better. That's better. You can have him holding his cup of joe for his early morning stuff. Detailing wise, he's actually quite good. The head does swap out as well. If I can pop that off. Actually, haven't tried this yet. I'm hoping it should just pop off. Bear with me a moment. There we go. So the head just pops off on the socket, and then you put in the alternate head, and then there is actually a hole just here on the butt for the extra piece of the oxygen tank, so it does fit onto the figure. The head should be a bit better on the peg, but you get the idea. He has the oxygen mask on. You can put the peg of that in there. Is that the right way? Does it go in one way? It doesn't seem to indicate that it goes one specific way, but it should fit in. Might be a bit of a tight squeeze, but you can get him with the oxygen mask on if you want to. I'm going to swap back the other head because it's a bit easier to do the review with the standard head. So I'm just going to pop that off screen, so bear with me a moment. So detailing wise, he has a really good detail on the figure. It does look very like the actor's likeness, which is really nice. It even has the scarring that he left deliberately to remind himself of the dangers of Pandora. He has his military tattoo, or his eagle. I think it's supposed to be a Marine's tattoo that he has. He has awesome digitally done camo on his pants, which are really nicely done. Articulation wise, he's quite articulated as well. I would love to see Mcfarlane do more figures in this scale, because if I bring in the tape measure, he doesn't stand too badly without the base as well. This guy does stand nicely in and around the 4-inch mark. So this is, I believe, the first time that Mcfarlane has done a 4-inch scale articulated figure. I could be wrong, but to my knowledge, it is the first time I've ever seen him do a 4-inch articulated figure. And I really think they should try doing more going forward, because it is a fantastically done figure. It's just a shame that the merchandise for the movie, again, didn't sell as well as it should have done. And again, it is a shame that the only human character that they've done out of this entire franchise so far, there may be more, but I think the line has run its course, is this guy. I would love to have seen him do some of the other Marines or the other troopers from this line, because they did do 2 vehicles that are able to hold figures, and there's only one character, human-sized character, that can actually sit in it, which is a shame. But articulation-wise, the head is on a ball joint, so you get good range of movement. There's an upper diaphragm joint, which is really good. You got lower waist articulation, which gives way more articulation then to the body. It's almost as if they actually thought out the process of how the big figures are done and then rescaled it and shrunk it down, which is a perfect scale. I know Mcfarlane do the Page Puncher line, which is actually 3-inch scale figures, but I think if they had done the Page Puncher line in this scale with the articulation that this guy has, they would sell a lot better and a lot faster, and you get a better overall comeback on it. arms can rotate up that much, can rotate around, can do a full 360. You got bicep swivel. You got dual jointed elbows, which give a great range of movement. You have a hinge, and it's the standard style Mcfarlane hinge, so you rotate it to which position you want. So if you want the hand to have a wrist to have an in out, you can do that, or if you want the wrist to be up down, you can do that. Again, swapping out the hands are really easy. The pegs are fairly chunky, and they do tend to pop out quite nicely. So you can have him doing his pointing, and pointing at the camera would be nice. But he has some great range of movement. The lower legs can do the splits that much. A little bit hindered on this because of this holster for his weapon. He doesn't really have anything in the way of a thigh swivel, but he does have that double jointed knee, and he's like all the way back. And again, just like the other Mcfarlane figures, he does have that rocker ankle with the swivel and articulation point, so he has a great range of movement. And just pop his cup back into his thing, you see he has great posability and great range of movement. And it is just a shame that this is the only figure, human, as I said, a human figure. I would love to see him do Jake Sully in this form, in his human form, or any of the human characters, even the Sigourney Weaver character, Dr. Grace, as Augustine, in this style and scale would be amazing, because they actually did a lot on their figure for this line, and it's just a shame that they didn't seem to sell as well as they kind of wished. So the last two accessories, which you have seen, actually I need to use a pistol out of the holster just to showcase them off, is he comes with a small blast effect that fits on his pistol. In fact, I think the blast effects are swappable between the two. So he has a small blast effect that fits on this pistol. It's more designed for that. And then you got a larger one that fits on the rifle. Just plugs into the hole on the front of the gun. So you have that. And I believe they are swappable. So if you want maybe something like a short burst from the rifle and some sort of hand cannon sort of explosion from his pistol, you can do that. So it is cool that you get that kind of option. So I'm going to pop those there so they don't go flying off the table, and put his gun back into his holster. And with that, we will bring him to comparison time with his previous 4-inch or 3¼ inch Inception, which is the one from Mattel, I believe was the line they originally did, which is interesting because Mattel have come a long way with their figures since. But this is the original poor dinky Miles Quaritch from their Avatar, the Mattel Avatar line. And if I just bring in one of the more modern Mattel guys, you can see they still retain the same scale. They went with 3¼ inch. So this guy's more 4-inch. This is 3¼ inch, even though he looks massive in comparison. If I bring in Dredd here from the Judge Dredd line, you can see the scaling is different. You can see these guys almost scale up better than these guys. There's almost like no comparison really. It's just like, you know, these guys are nearly a foot shorter than an average human, which is a shame because there's not much in the difference to him. I think this guy is even smaller again. So you can see they kind of scaled up at some point, but we will see how this guy, what we'll do first. I'm going to move things out of the way because I do have at least 2 of the vehicles to hand. So we're going to bring in the old Mattel version of this, the AMP suit first, because one of Miles's army buddies is sitting in this one. I just want to bring him out for a comparison. Now I know the gun cabling is all over the place, so and the legs are all over the place. But like, even if they did this guy in with more body armor stuff in this scale, and it would have been amazing. You can see it wouldn't have had to done too much. It could have reused the legs and just done a waist piece over the body buck, like over this body buck, and then just given the different accessories and a different head. It would have been perfect. Unfortunately, even with these guys, you can't swap the heads for scaling. It is a shame, but if like, you could potentially buy multiples of this guy and then try and customize your own. That is probably an option that you could go down. The only thing is, you wouldn't have all the different weapons that the actual troopers use, but that is beside the point. So, right, let's see if we can get this guy seated in the older version of this thing. It is very rough and ready. So let me swap out his pointy hand for his other control hand. So I'm going to have to probably squish his arms together in kind of a more controlling controller type thing, and see if he can fit in. But I would guess not, because he's so much taller. Even if I was to bend the legs a little, I don't think he'll have the waist, or I don't think he'll have the clearance to fit in. No, there's not a chance this guy's fitting into the older suit, which means he might get away with on the vehicle, the ATV looking thing that they released as part of this line. But any of the other vehicles, I'd say, which have a enclosed canopy, he's not going to be fitting in. So that aside, we shall bring in this one, which is the one that was released as part of this line. There was two of them released for this line. This is the one that's supposed to be Colonel Quaritch's version, but it even says it on the side of this. This is supposed to be his personal AMP suit. So I'm going to get it standing and hopefully on screen. I'll get this guy seated in it. They don't really sit in these things. I think they kind of stand up in them, but there's like back support and stuff like that, so he should, in theory, be able to fit into this thing. I'm gonna have to bend his legs a touch just to get him to sit in. He all the way in. He is all the way in, so I might have to bend his legs just a scooch, just to get him to fit in a little bit better. He should fit in no bother. There we go. His head is resting on the top of that. In fact, if I just adjust my camera so you can see it, would be handy. So you can see his head is actually resting on the glass piece. It's not it is a tight fit for this guy. Maybe if I bend his legs a little bit more, get him in a more seated position, he might fit it a little bit better. So we can move his legs a bit better. There we go. Move his head down. Move waist forward a bit. He does fit. The only problem is his head does seem to be bouncing off the glass, so if he was to stop suddenly, he would go smack his head off that and knock himself out probably. What is cool about this AMP suit, and it's a detail that they have in this, is that you can actually see that gas mask accessory that he has the alternate head with is seated in the back of this thing. But as I said, these things are supposed to have their own environmental controls inside it, so when they're driving it and piloting it, you don't need to have the masks on. But he is a tight fit, but he does just about fit this. And we will get one more thing if I can get it without knocking everything over, and then we will wrap up this video pretty quickly. Hopefully I can get it without knocking everything over. This is the crab suit, which is the other vehicle that Mcfarlane put out, and it's the one that, there's this open again, there we go. This is the one that was designed to fit figures, yet there is no figures from this line for it to fit. So we get him into a seated position. You can't really grasp the controls that much, but you can get him in there These little toesies sorted. They should be inside the screen. But he can sit in that one a little bit better than he can the other suit, the AMP suit. He's a bit of a squish to get in, but he does fit in there, and you can just about see him. So we'll wrap this up here because otherwise it'll be going on far too long. But all in all, he's not a bad figure. It's just a shame that Mcfarlane didn't do anything else with this line and actually give you more of the mercenaries, the human mercenaries from this figure line, or from this movie franchise. I think they would have sold a lot better. And as an alternate bonus, just think, like, if they were to do stuff like, if I just move things, I'm sure everything will come crashing down. So, like, if they were to do these sort of page puncher, or this is actually, I think, this is Page Puncher? No, this is one of the Builder figures, the Frost King or whatever his name is, build figure. There was a Page Puncher, Black Adam. If they were to do this shrunk down scale like they did with this figure for the DC Multiverse line, I have a feeling those would sell, jump off the shelves just as much as this figure did. Now, again, one of the downsides was the price point on this figure originally was near the same price as one of these, so it was a bit more pricey for what you got. You did get a good lot of accessories. I don't knock the accessories, it's just a shame that the box that it came in was so big. It didn't need to be half the size that it only needed to be half the size that it originally came in, and it would have been fine. But all in all, he is a good figure. If you want a good representation of that character from the movie and in scale to the other figures, the Navi figures that they did, and those underwater Navi guys, whatever I think they're called. I think they have a specific name. The Navi were the land base. I'm not sure if the underwater Navi had separate definition. But all in all, good figure. Just a poorly executed line. Could have been a lot better, and had they continued the line, or at the time of this recording, as far as I'm aware, the line is dead. There's nothing else coming out for it. They could surprise us. They could come out with more figures. I would love to see more of the actual soldiers and stuff like that, because I think those would sell better, even though I'm not sure if the Colonel Quaritch figure sold, but hopefully he did. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope you enjoyed me waffling on for about 20 minutes, and I hope you stuck through to all this video. And as always, I hope you have a great day, and I would appreciate a like, subscription, and a thumbs up for this, or a comment if you want to in the comment section. So cheers guys, and I hope you enjoy this. Cheers.